Hello, we're going to be starting a new unit today. It's Unit 3 called Early Modern Times. After the Middle Ages in Europe, changes began to creep across the land. In this unit, you will settle in Rome, where great artists create masterpieces. You will be there for the Renaissance or the rebirth of learning. You will travel to Germany and learn about the Reformation. Then you will journey to many parts of Europe to see how scientists used the new scientific method to question old beliefs. Later in the unit, you will meet kings, explorers, and conquistadors, emperors, and warriors as you sail back and forth across the Atlantic Ocean. There are 5 chapters in this unit. We're only going to use the first 4: the Renaissance, the Reformation, the new science, the beginnings of our global age. Then it gives us this little artwork. Now notice the things that he's pointing to, these spheres and other geometric shapes and such. These were scientific tools of the Renaissance. And we have a quote here from Isaac Newton. Now, you may or may not know who Isaac Newton was. By the end of the chapter, you will, certainly. He's best known probably for his supposed discovery of gravity by having an apple fall on his head. But this is a quote from shortly before his death in 1727. "I do not know what I may appear to the world, but to myself I seem to have been only like a boy playing on the seashore, now and then finding a smoother pebble or a prettier shell than ordinary, whilst the great ocean of truth lay all undiscovered before me." Not at this second, but I want you to think about that. What do you think he was trying to say? It's obviously some sort of metaphor, using one set of words to say something else. When we're done with this intro and we have a map skills activity to do, we'll come back to this. Okay? Chapter 14, the Renaissance. Between the years 1348 and 1600, change came to Europe. During this period, people questioned old beliefs. They also took a new interest in learning, creativity, and the independent thinking. Historians call this the Renaissance. It ended the Middle Ages. In this chapter, you will see how the Black Death affected Europe. You will travel to Florence and visit Lorenzo the Magnificent. Then you will journey to England to meet the playwright William Shakespeare. Finally, you will sail back to Italy and watch Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Raphael create art masterpieces. By the time we're done with this chapter, these are the goals that you should be able to fulfill. All right? You should be able to describe the changes the Black Death brought to Europe and explain why historians use the term Renaissance for this period. You should be able to describe the beliefs of humanism, another ideology we're going to be looking at. You should be able to describe the beginning of the Renaissance in Italy. How did it start? Why did it start? What's so important about it? You should be able to list some Renaissance writers and their works. You should also be able to describe the work of Renaissance artists. Now, we have a timeline here. Just going to run through it briefly. 1348, Black Death comes to Europe. 1350, Renaissance begins in northern Italy. Now, those are only 2 years apart. I wonder if there's a cause and effect in there somewhere. Then we jump ahead. 1455, Gutenberg prints the Bible. And there's more to it than that, but we'll look at that when we get there. 1469, Lorenzo de' Medici comes to power in Florence. He was a very, very influential man during the Renaissance. 1506, Leonardo da Vinci paints the Mona Lisa. Painting you probably have seen, but if you haven't, you will in this chapter. 1508, Michelangelo begins the Sistine Chapel, painting the Sistine Chapel, the ceiling. Again, if you haven't seen it, you'll get some examples during this chapter, so don't worry about it. And then 1558, Queen Elizabeth begins her rule in England. Now, her rule was so important that afterwards, historians looking back call this time period the Elizabethan Age. That's how much influence she had over it. Okay. Now, as I said, we're getting to a map skill. All right. So During the Renaissance, many of today's nations began to develop. As you look at the map, you will see some names you know, such as England, France, and Sweden. However, two large empires existed during this period that no longer exist now, and in addition, the city-states and kingdoms of Italy during the Renaissance took nearly 4 centuries to unite. What a lot of people don't realize is, as a country, both Italy and Germany, for that matter, are younger than the United States, even though they have a much longer history. It's kind of confusing, but we'll get to that later. Now, right now, I just want to talk about general map issues. Now, first thing you want to find is the compass rose. This is very, very important. It tells you north, and from north you can get the other cardinal directions of east, west, and south. All right, so this is, because usually north is up. North is the top of the map, but not always. So you got to find that compass rose to get your orientation. Another thing you might come in handy is what's is called a scale of miles. All right, so on this map, if I had a ruler, I could say from here to here, which guessing I'd say is maybe 2 inches, 1.75 inches, equals 1,000 miles. All right, so if we wanted to map out, say, from England down to the Ottoman Empire, we could measure how long that is and make a guess. It's not going to be perfect, but we can make a guess at how many miles it is. All right, so we have the compass rose and the scale of miles. Some maps have other identifying marks, what they call a key. There might be another box down here where we have different colors mean different things, or different symbols mean different things. This particular map doesn't have that. Some will, some won't. All right. Now, there are questions that go along with this map that we will get to in a presentation. So what I want you to do right now is open up a new browser window. You keep this one open, and you can probably enlarge it so you can refer back to it, because I couldn't get the image too large without distorting on the presentation that you're going to. So leave this, open up a new browser window, and I want you to go to joinpd.com, joinpd.com. Once you get there, I will give you a code to enter. It's kind of like a Kahoot, if you ever did a Kahoot, where you enter in your code and you all join the same game. Well, this is similar. You're all going to join the same presentation. So open up that new browser window, go to joinpd.com, and I'll see you there in a second. All right? Thank you very much, guys. You're doing great.